Great. Okay. So, hi everyone, and welcome to the With Love Nyasha podcast. I am your host, Nyasha Marian. You guys actually get to see me live. And here on the show, our goal is to share ideas and experiences as a way to help you own your creative essence and find healing as you embrace your essence. So, on today's show, my guest is Brianna Byrd. And Brianna is a poet with a passion for culture, growth, and legacy. Through her written works, she aims to celebrate humanity and shine a light on different life experiences. Her words have the power to move, inspire, and transform, leaving an indelible mark on the hearts and minds of all readers who encounter her work. So, welcome, Brianna. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm really good. I'm just glad to be here with my friend having a Oh gosh, am I okay? Okay, it froze on my end. Oh,
There
okay.
we go. Okay, you're back.
Okay, I'm like I said, I'm really good. I'm glad to be here with my friend and just to talk about what we're talking about. It's always a pleasure.
Dope. Wow, honestly, thanks for joining me. I'm super excited for this conversation. And it's literally like I'm going through my list and like everything is just coming together. I don't know how, but it's coming together. So, for today's podcast topic, the episode is going to focus a lot on expression, right? And it's February, it's Black History Month, and that's something that is very well known, right, in the Black community. So, there's a word that kind of came to my mind. It was like, we hear a lot about Black excellence, right?
Mhm.
So, when you think of Black excellence, how would you define that?
Heavy hitters out the gate. I do love this. No, but when thinking about Black excellence, I just think about Black people, African American people, people of the diaspora who are using their God given gifts and talents and abilities without limits, without restrictions, who are just flourishing, being themselves, without feeling like they need to compromise. I feel like everyone is put on this earth for a reason and for a purpose. And so while we're here, it's just a privilege and an honor to be who we are, just fully and without watering ourselves down because we never know whose lives we're going to impact. So, just using our gifts and talents to the fullest capability, I think, is my full answer.
I honestly love that. And I think that's something very huge because a lot of the times I'll speak for myself personally. It's like I may find myself in a space where I may feel like, oh, well, in this space, maybe I need to express myself in this way. And this used to happen a lot.
Mhm.
Like, I've gotten so much better and grown and healed in so many ways. But I used to experience this so much. Like, when I'm in certain spaces, I can only express myself to this magnitude. And something I'm learning is like, with the idea of excellence and just Black excellence, which we hear a lot in the community, is just self expression as it shows up without feeling the need to almost shield or hide in a sense. Because sometimes it feels like, oh no, it's a form of protection to shield oneself, but like, is it like I know there's discernment that comes with every situation, right? And I think that's so vital. But I think also the space where it's like, why do you feel the need to shield? Because if you're going to be excellent in what you do, show up fully 100% unapologetically, share your gift. And if there are days, and I think we actually had a conversation about this one time, where it's like when there are days where you're honestly at 10%, honestly boost and do your best at 10%, but that was excellence. And I remember you actually told me that, and I was like, dang, I needed to hear that because it was almost like I was running myself to burnout, and I did that a lot last year. We're not doing that much this year, hopefully, right? But I did that a lot last year, and it was like excellence isn't always about trying to make sure you're at 100. Excellence is if you're at 40 today and you made it, even if you made it to 40% exactly, or you made it to 35, you still showed up. And I think that's what really matters. And from that end.
Yeah. Shout out to Lori at the house, Tuscaloosa, because she's the one who told me that during my interview. I kept talking about excellence and just showing up and striving. And she was like, just give me what you got. And I was like, yo, I've never heard it that way, and it's life changing once you give yourself the freedom to be your best, whatever that bar is on any given day.
And I think that's where the full expression comes in because sometimes, and maybe that's really what the connection is, because I find that sometimes we want to fully express ourselves however we show up. But again, in certain spaces, it may not always be received. But I think it's not about giving the license to someone else to give you permission to show up fully, right? I think sometimes it's just giving yourself the permission to say, even if or however they respond to me showing up, I'm going to do my best and just be my best self as best as I can. That was a lot of bests, but you get my point.
No, I get it. And I think that's one of the things I'm trying to navigate in this season for sure, because people who are recovering people pleasers or who've lived their life code switching, feeling like in order to be successful, in order to be my best self, I have to be this version of myself, and isolating the other parts of themselves. It's learning that no, I can be my entire self, and that people may be subjective about what they think about me, about the experience that they have with me, but I don't have to tailor my life to fit any human being's liking. I can just be myself. And it's kind of to tie it back into the writing tip. Everyone's not your audience. Like you can write and feel like, oh, this is a strong piece. And there's going to be someone out there who will say, I didn't like it. I didn't care for it. And that's okay. It doesn't mean it's not a good piece. It just wasn't their piece. And so it's the same way with showing up in the world and being ourselves. Like everyone's not going to like us. Everyone's not going to like our shine, like what we do, like how we express ourselves. But the minute we dim ourselves and say, okay, I'm going to try to meet your expectations, we're hurting ourselves exponentially in the end.
I agree. And I think that's a big piece because not everyone's going to like you, and it's okay. And if they don't, I don't think we need to take it personally. It's just, it's okay. You're not everyone's cup of tea. Let me just say that. And this is like a perfect segue too with how you mentioned about the writing, because if you guys didn't know, Brianna has a book. I'm going to just like do a little quick glance here. It's called When the World Was Set Ablaze. So it's just a book of different poems she had written, and I wanted her to read in celebration of Black History Month, right? I wanted her to read Black Female because when I first got this book, I was like, oh, I was reading through it, but Black Female and Black Male really hit. But because we're both females, I'm like, let me just get her to read Black Female. And if y'all are interested, I'll put the link in the bio and you guys can get the book yourself. But take it away, girl.
I'm blushing so hard. I love you, Fred. So, um, this piece is entitled Black Female. Here it goes. Black female, I am you and you are me. We are many different shades. Our kinks and curls, coils, straights, and all the in between. Our beauty goes beyond what the natural eye can see. Black female, we are queens. Our crowns may tilt and shift, but they'll never fall. You cannot touch what is divine. You cannot escape your call. Even when everyone thinks the cards are against us, we do not fold. We change the game and win it all. Black female, we are excellence personified, our vision, our character, our stride. Forget a tree. Given a seed, we'll grow 3,000 forests. No one can determine our reach for us. We set trends, not follow them. We establish the standard and model it. We are the culture. Our value is worth more than rubies, diamonds, and every other precious stone. The earth sees how her clay was used to break the mold and bows in admiration. All considered and true, by many we are still slept on, overlooked, and unappreciated. But sis, it's time to wake up. You are my friend, not foe. We must respect, support, and always make room for each other on both of our thrones. Forget the illusion that success is leaving your heritage behind. The top of the ladder looks like us when we lift as we climb. Black female, I am you and you are me. Black female, we are queens.
Yes. I'm trying to like snap, but my hands are too dry.
Yo,
But yes, honestly, because I read that poem when I used to like live on my own, like in a different city, right? And I remember reading that it was like the scene was like almost, I guess, movie like to me. I was at the park, had my snacks because I like snacks, and I had the book, and it was just so warm. I think I was eating ice cream and I was reading that. I was like, dang, I resonate with this so hard because sometimes when you're so busy trying to hustle or do or create all these things, we forget to just be. And I think poems like that kind of remind us who we really are. And I'm not saying it's like you're telling us who we are in your work, right? It's just another way to express something that is experienced collectively in a community. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I guess I'm just more so like curious. What was the, I guess, mini story behind Black Female?
Oh man, I was 16 years old when I wrote Black Female. And at that time, I was a junior in high school and I was getting ready to do a pageant for one of my organizations. And we had a talent portion. And they were like, we need you to do something for like 2 minutes. And I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm not about to sing. I don't dance. Like, if you know, you know. So I just sat down. I was like, okay, I'll do a poem. And I guess the whole idea of being on a stage, and even though it's not necessarily a competition, it's a competition. So everyone's vying for this crown, everyone's rushing towards it. And I just had to pause for a minute. I was like, this is not the mindset I want to be in when I do this. I don't want to look at all of these beautiful women in gowns and just all of these African American women and think, oh, this is my competition. I want to look at them and just think, okay, you're gorgeous, you're wonderful, you're excellent. I want to walk in purity with people. And if I get it, great. But if I don't, everyone has their moment in the sun. And so it's just understanding that no matter what happened within that pageant, no matter what happens in this life, when I look at you, when I look at another Black woman, that's a queen, period. When I look at myself, I'm a queen. And so it's just carrying myself with that level of respect, with that level of regality, and that level of care. I think that was just reflecting on the experience I was going into and then reflecting on the standard I wanted for my own life.
Wow. I really like that. And it shows even in the poem. And I think it's really one thing that you said that reminded me what in the topic of expression, right? Is that when you're creating something, the intent behind why you're creating it, super important. Like, because you just described just wanting to give a presence or an aura or just an like embodying genuine community
Yeah.
in a poem, right? And it shows because I was gonna try and read it. I was like, oh girl, I need to get the poet to read her own poem because it will not be me. Because, and this is something I think we've talked about too, is like you can create something, but how your audience receives it, interprets it is completely different. Because how I could have read it would have been probably great, but like again, it's always better to hear it from the creator first,
Mm.
and then when once you internalize it, you can appropriate it for your own life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that's something super valuable too. Yeah.
No, I appreciate it. It's been so long since I've read anything from the book. So thank you for the platform and the interest. I appreciate it.
Of course. Honestly, it's a great book. So I honestly am just so excited for you and your growth and stuff. And honestly, my last question is like, what is your process for like receiving value? And I'll like clarify what I mean by that. So it's like what I mean by this is like I've often felt that when you receive something before actually starting to use it or apply it in any way, you have to first accept it. And that's where there's like a mini research process that comes in. It involves applying, creating little things out of it. And so I guess my question is more so how do you do this in either your creative writing process or just in general in life, if that makes sense?
Sure. I have a follow-up question to
Of
answer.
course.
So
Mm.
when we say receive and accept, are we thinking about like when an idea comes like a prompt, inner prompt, or are we thinking about like a belief or a new thought or concept?
Ah, no, inner prompt. I'm glad you asked that question. Yes, inner
Okay.
prompt. Hmm.
So for me, it has to feel real. Like I'm a big person. Let me rephrase that.
Go ahead.
I'm a person who is big on authenticity. I believe that if you're a writer, if you're a singer, whatever you are, if you believe in what you're writing, whatever it is going to reach audiences much better than something that you don't believe in and you're just doing for the sake of. I think people might like it.
Hmm.
I feel that things that are authentic last a lot longer. And so authenticity, once I click with an idea, I know, okay, I'm running with this because it won't leave me alone. I'll be in the shower, I'll be in the drive to school or work, I'll be wherever I am, and that idea is just there. And I'm like, I need to do something with it. Now, how the ideas are born, I really think that a lot of creatives can relate to this. Everything is an idea. If I watch something, there's something in that show, there's something in that movie that's like, oh, be it love, be it a relationship, be it an argument, there's something that resonates with me. And I'm like, what do I do with this? What do I do with this feedback that's happening internally? It can be a song, it can be a sunset, it can be just a drop of rain on a window. Like whatever it is, there's an idea, but I know that to run with it once it feels right within. Once it won't leave me alone, that's when I know I need to pursue it and need to just sit with it. So the actual birth of the idea, like bringing it on, putting it on the paper, bringing it into life, is just really taking the time to sit down and write the words out, whatever the idea is. I try not to be perfectionistic when I do this because it'll flow. So I'll write out whatever the idea is. And if I can expand, I'll expand. If I can keep going, I'll keep going. But if all I have time to do is write down the idea, I do that and I try to come back to it as soon as possible. But I always try to write it out whenever it's on me the strongest to write it, whenever it feels like I need to get this idea out of me so I can go to sleep and get on with my life. That's when I know this is time.
Honestly, I love that. And I think many people can relate to that because sometimes, listen, guys and ladies and gentlemen and people, right?
All over the world.
All of the above. The idea could be something as simple as, oh my goodness, I have the strongest drive to make a specific dish and it won't leave my mind.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's the beauty of the creative process because you could hear me talk to poets and writers like Bree or different people, but all the information can be taken into even everyday life, right? And I love what you're saying about just keeping a document or a notebook where you write it down if you don't have time to get to it, or if it's really like, go write it down. You sit and then you download it out of your mind. Because sometimes your brain is just like, man, we need space. You're asking us to do so much work right now. And this idea is so strong. We need you to do something with it. And then we can get to what you actually want us to do. And it'd be like that sometimes.
Listen, it does. I'm not gonna explain. Like we have conversations sometimes where we just go. So I'm gonna keep it very cute on this.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. No, you're good. You're good. And yeah, because like, man, yeah. So I guess in summary to all my listeners, if you have an idea or you tend to find yourself with a plethora of ideas, have like a note open, whether it's in your notes app or a Google Doc or a notebook, just a document or a book where you just jot down all your ideas so that when you're too occupied to actually deal with them, you have placed them somewhere. You've written them down and made them visible for yourself to be like, oh, that was a great idea, or oh, this was okay, but actually figured out how to expand on this in a different way, you know? Because I feel like there is power in writing down something, whether you're manually writing with your hands or typing it out, right? So I guess to end the show, guys, I'll just leave you with my warm words. But before I do that, Bree, any final thoughts?
No, just something you said really resonated with me. And thank you for the space to share this.
Of course.
So when you were talking about some of the ideas that may be like, I don't know what to do with this. I believe that some ideas, yeah, you probably won't do anything with them, but some of them, it may not be the right season. So keep your notebooks, keep your journals, and revisit them every once in a while. Look at them and say, oh, this really resonates me in this season. Like me writing as a single woman is going to be different from me writing as a wife or as a mother or as a person working in their field. Life changes. And so the way that we approach the prompts will change. And also give room for yourself to be authentic in every stage of yourself. Don't compare yourself to you in other seasons. Don't compare yourself to other writers. Just be who you are in that space and let your voice resonate, because even if people do stuff that's similar to you, your voice is your voice and no one else has it. So it's important for you to express it, because you never know who needs to hear your voice in particular.
That all of that is facts. And it's interesting because I don't remember whose page this is, but it was a picture of like liquid and it was in a container.
Yeah.
And it's like the liquid was the idea and the container was you. So many times we're so hesitant to share our quote unquote, let's use water, right? To share our water with others who are thirsty because we think, oh no, it must not be good as Dasani or Nestle, whatever, how, yeah, Nestle water brand, because our water is based on all these experiences. But idea of this analogy is you're the container. Your life experiences and your mindset could very well be the information that can articulate or communicate the message to your audience in a way that if someone else tried to do it, they couldn't succeed with the level of communication or articulation your people may need, right? And it's not to say that other people aren't capable of communicating differently or better. No, there's always going to be people out there with more information, more knowledge. It's just the idea that you are unique. Your blueprint is unique. So if your brand of water comes with a dose of spice and a dash of vanilla and some rose scents or whatever, that's great. But don't try now changing your blueprint formula from roses to lavender just because it looks pretty purple. But then your DNA says, but we're roses.
Yeah.
Why are you trying to change us to a lavender? Well, because so and so, but it'll mess up how we deliver the liquid though. And it'll mess up our structure, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah. I think that was a very good point to make because comparison's a killer. Okay. Whew.
it Listen, comparison will have you walking on pathways and in shoes that were never meant for your feet to be in. And I think that comparison is the quickest way to really have devastation within your writing space. Because if every time you sit down to write and you try to sound like this writer or that writer, it's not going to come out right, because you can mimic well, but your voice gets lost in the shuffle. And so it feels very alienating. Like, for example, I love Maya Angelou. I love Toni Morrison. I love all of these heavy hitters. But every time I sit down to write, it's way too much pressure if I think, oh, I need to be them. I can't be them ever. All I can be is Brie Bird, and that's all I can ever try to be. And so it's just finding space and appreciation for your voice and realizing that, hey, I may not be them, but there's something valuable. There's something important about me. And it's realizing that you have to keep moving forward in your own voice, because you never know what you can grow into. And even if it's not about growing into something, even if it's just where you are now, there's something valuable and precious about that. And so it's writing that out and going through your process and being true to who you were created to be.
I agree 100%. Literally, you're essentially planting seeds in yourself, right? And then as you grow and experience life and gain more knowledge and more information, it's like you're watering those seeds. And listen, those growing pains don't play, okay? Let's not pretend. Life sometimes is very uncomfortable. It's
Uh,
not always pretty, but
no, 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 no.
I feel like in hindsight, it makes sense.
Mm. Yeah.
In it though, no. But in
Yeah.
hindsight, when you look back, you're like, I needed that.
Yeah.
You know? Mhm. Wow. Honestly, thanks for coming on the show. I'm honestly so excited for your journey. Genuinely so excited.
No, literally, thank you for just being pure in your intentions, and thank you for the space to be here and to have this conversation with you. Thank you for having me.
Of
For
course.
this convo. I enjoy our chats anyway, so I just enjoy being here with you.
Honestly, it's always just so interesting to see where they go. And sometimes it'll just be like the most random things. But before I start getting distracted, I will leave you guys, my listeners, with some warm words. My warm words for you are you have value in your existence. You have value just by existing. You don't have to change, contort, or try and fix yourself to show that you have value. Your value comes just by being who you are. So I just feel like I need to say this one more time. You have value. You are valuable just by existing. And if you choose to, change how you dress and stuff like that, it's because you're trying to match the value you feel and experience internally. So remember that you have value. So thank you so much for joining us on the show, and I will talk to you guys next week. Bye.